Hello and welcome to Face the Nation, the first of its installment, a new take on the whole debate of leaders as a whole, the whole leaders debate, during the election cycle. So, I am your host, Dan and Puppy Tab, recently resigned from my political party, so now I can finally, face the nation myself again. So, hello. Um, let's get right into it. So, each candidate will have a 15-minute segment where they'll answer questions asked by you, the audience. If there are no questions, we will temporarily resort to some questions given to me by our TD. I'm going to introduce and welcome every candidate. Candidates will be given, I'm going to say, 1-2 minutes to introduce themselves. And then, like I said, audience will begin asking questions. Well, I think there's nowhere else to nothing else to explain. I'm not gonna share the order of appearance because let's keep this private. No. Let's keep it a surprise. Keep it a surprise. First up, if we could get a drum roll, I'm not sure if we have those sound effects. We have Bo as the leader of the Fine Gael and Fine Gael party and current leader. No, current. Hello, Bo. Are you with us? Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Thanks. Oh,
Oh, hold on.
you can bring me now. There you go.
So, I'll stop being so loud. I'm just a bit excited. Well, as soon, do you want to begin with your introduction? As soon as you do, your timer will start. Actually, no. I can't. No, I'm going to give 1 minute for introduction and 15 minutes for the rest. I hope that's okay.
Okay.
Leah, shout at me if it's not. Okay, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself, starting now.
Well, thank you, Dan, for hosting this lovely town hall tonight on RTE. And I think I'm going to say this as a whole. Many in our country are still finding it harder and harder to believe that Ireland is getting better, but we shouldn't lose hope. Ireland is not destined for decline. We are a country full of optimism, talent, and determination. Things can change, but only if we have a plan for change. Tomorrow, the Fine Gael Parliamentary Caucus will meet and vote on will meet and vote on a specific policy perspective. These will be policies that blend areas of a previous manifesto that was widely supported, as well as some new policies to energise our momentum. The vote tomorrow is simply a clear question to the caucus, and that's to ensure that Fine Gael gets as many seats within the Dáil and Seanad as possible. Unfortunately, tonight I cannot answer specific policies, but I will be conveying our thoughts, values, and concerns around other
Right, I'm going
issues
to have to
and
stop you there.
potential
That is
policies.
1 minute. Okay, so that's your introduction to the Fine Gael leader. So, does anyone have any questions? If so, please raise your hands. I assume I'm allowed to choose from the party leaders as well. Just to ju- just in case I'm not, I'm going to bring up an regular audience member first. So let's go with Seth, and then I'll bring up Jackie R. Westbrook afterwards.
Well, hello
Hello,
there.
Seth. Are you with us? Hello.
Yes,
Um,
I'm with you. Hello.
I need to quickly say to the audience, if you have any questions, DM them to me. Maybe I can try and ask them. If you're not able to VC. Anyway, Seth, please go ahead and ask your question.
Right, hello, Bo. So, looking at your previous manifesto, Fine Gael policies consisted of job fairs, somewhat of job fairs and business roundtables. Now, on the roundtables, yes, you did schedule it, but 20 minutes before it was due to start, you cancelled. And then you never really made a proper effort to reschedule, and you were Taoiseach for 8 days after the cancellation. And on job fairs, the previous administration, under Leah, saw a jobs fair 3 days into her term, and you couldn't even hold one in 3 weeks. So why should people, including business owners, elect you when in 3 weeks you couldn't even hold a simple jobs fair event or a business roundtable? And if you are lucky enough to gain back trust, will you look to make these policies somewhat of a priority compared to last term? And that's the
Thank
question.
you. Oh, please answer.
Well,
Go
obviously,
ahead.
I thank Seth for his question, and I know he's the business spokesman on behalf of the Social Democrats. And you know what? I think that I'm very direct. You know, as a politician, I think you need to be very direct, and I'm also very honest. I mean, what we saw within the business sector was we saw we saw growth within the business sector, but what my government planned on doing was listening and representing the voices of business owners. So if you actually look at the poll I put out for it, more people couldn't attend and were unsure than that could attend. So we spoke to ministerial colleagues and we rescheduled that. Unfortunately, due to the turbulence and instability of the government, we weren't able to get it done. But on job fairs, we were trying to engage in discussions with different ministries to attract for different careers, for different employment fairs. But obviously that hasn't come through, and I accept that. But that's because, we faced a challenge within government ourselves. We were unstable, and that isn't necessarily because of my party. My party showed up, we did the hard work, and if you look across the business portfolio, it was Fine Gael that led the way with that policy. It was Fine Gael's policy, it was Fine Gael's delivery and announcement to that policy. So what I would say to Seth is, if elected into government, obviously my caucus members will vote tomorrow. I really am encouraging them to back our proposals for business. I'm not going to explicitly tell you what it is, but I do have some great ambitious plans for employment and recruitment, and I'm glad that hopefully I'll be able to project that to the electorate tomorrow.
All right, thank you for your answer. Moving on to the next audience member, I believe I did say Jackie next. A reminder to the audience, if you would like to ask any questions, just raise your hand and I will bring you up. Also, DM me. I will happily listen to them. Anyway, Jackie R. Westbrook. So I'll happily ask them for you.
Hi, Bo. Lovely to be here, Dan. Thank you for bringing me up. I just wanted to ask a pretty simple question about Fine Gael as a party. So what are your general values? What's the values of your party, and what are your main principles that you'll be focusing on, not just in this election, but throughout your party in general?
Well, I thank Jackie for the question. Say simply, in word of business, we're also the party of aspiration, we're the party of common sense, and with a party of conviction. I'm doing this job not because it's easy, it's actually quite a difficult job being, so definitely experienced that during my tenure. Say it's about respecting the mandate I received, and that's what I'm always continuing to do as leader of Fine Gael. So since the collapse of the government, I've took myself to my caucus. They have unanimously given me confidence to continue on as leader, but I accept that not everything in the party went as well as it could be. That's why I'm internally changing Fine Gael. I want to create a strong campaign machine for Fine Gael so that future leaders and future politicians within Fine Gael have the correct support to become an election winning campaign machine. And that's what I'm committed to. But it's about authentic conservative principles. We are the Conservative Party of Ireland. We understand that aspiration, the only way you back aspiration is by supporting businesses. We want to create more entrepreneurs in Ireland than any other party. But we're also the party that talks about utilisation. I mean, for the last 9 months I've been in the door, I've been talking about utilising Monaghan County Council, the Irish Motorsports Association, Jobs Ireland, and other agencies that were legislated under previous governments. Fine Gael didn't even legislate some of these agencies, but we want to see them continued because we believe in utilising the statute book, not just for it to collect dust. And I think that's what all parties need to say on this stage tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else anyone wants to ask? I mean, I don't see any hands in the audience right now. Again, you can DM your request. You can send them to me however you like, and I'll ask them. Okay, we've got Mr. Bruce, leader of the Labour Party, actually. So, Mr. Bruce, I have a question.
I do.
Okay,
Taoiseach,
go ahead.
Taoiseach, you say your government was active. However, before the last last, session before the motion of no confidence was tabled, only one government TD showed up and one government minister. You say you're the party of common sense, but wouldn't there? But if party leaders had any common sense, they'd get their TDs to the Dáil and be able to vote for legislation. If re-elected, how will you increase TD activity and ensure that if you lead the next government, you can pass your own legislation?
So what I would say is throughout my, I think it's actually been a year of sitting in the Dáil or the Seanad, I've maintained really good attendance rates. That's what I've always encouraged. And the Taoiseach and Minister of Business, Sarah underscore XDXD 2006 on the spreadsheet, it says she's attended every session, and I've attended 85.71% of the sessions. That is commitment, and that is attendance. In the Shannon, I'm going to give you some more statistics. Kirby underscore mega MLG Swagbro has an attendance over 50%, and that is because he put in an absence for for one of the sessions. So what you're seeing is consistency with Fine Gael attending the Shannon and the Dáil. But what I would say is that I have a caucus of 5 in the Dáil, so obviously it's really difficult to get TDs there, especially after months of inactivity. But what we have seen is we've seen improved attendance from Fine Gael than the previous term, and it's all about building up and creating this strong attendance record. So that's my record on that, and I hope Mr. Bruce accepts my.
Okay, I see Ognian, leader of the Social Democrats, has a hand raised now for a question. So, Ognian, hello.
Hello there. First
Okay.
I would like to
Oh.
thank, I would like to thank Dan for organizing this and Archie for organizing this lovely event. I thank the Taoiseach for taking the initiative about the Dáil Enchant attendance, but may I remind her that she is, I believe, third on the last place on government attendance, and she is a party with 3 strikes most in the Dáil, and I'm not quite sure on which percentage. Oh, she is also third on the shunt attendance. How will she guarantee next term, if she is elected as government, that she'll have a minister present during question sessions and allow the members of the oppositions to execute properly their duty to parliamentary scrutinize ministers and properly apply the parliamentary control over ministers? That's it.
Well, can I just say I thank Ognian for his question, and I would say because I'm no longer in opposition, I think his party do have one of the great questions when it comes to that. I had a record of great questions, and I think that's what it all comes down to. I mean, what you're getting under Fine Gael this term, you saw a great question from Sarah underscore XDXD 2006, and I believe she highlighted the issue around the economy in Ulster, and that is a really important area, especially because she was the TD. So this is what she says. Local businesses within my constituency of Ulster are the backbone of the Irish economy. Earlier, the Taoiseach confirmed the opening of the weekly Spotlight Award, just another fine example of a government that threatens the private sector with consistency it deserves. Now, I asked the Taoiseach, does the Taoiseach have any predictions for who will secure the spotlight this week? And that is a Fine Gael TD turning up, representing her constituency, and I'm honoured to lead this team. It's a team where we have high standards in terms of loyalty, unity, activity, and engagement. And I'm really proud to lead this team. And there is no other party I would rather lead than Fine Gael. It's all about stability and leadership.
Thank you. Before we continue, I just need to say that it was, in fact, Leah organised this whole event, so I think we should be directing our thanks to her. Now, are there any other questions from the audience at this moment? I don't see anyone's hands raised, so I'll quickly ask one supplied by RTE. As a party that claims to be, for stability, there are arguments to be made that there aren't many parties that would back Fine Gael in the duel. I mean, considering the last vote of no confidence, which technically didn't pass, but going off of that, even your own coalition partner of Fianna Fáil did not agree, but we had lots of abstains instead of agreements in confidence of the government. How do you think you're going to get the backing of the duel again and of the other parties to try and secure another government?
Well, what I would say is to Fine Gael voters and Fine Gael members out there is that we need to remember who we are, what we are about, and that we are on the right side of the argument and on the right side of history. You know, our policy prospectus will be community unity, national unity, and activity. You know, that's what the people want. That's why Fine Gael have had such an increase in dual seats and Shannon seats. But the difference is that I have won 2 elections is because I'm a straight talker, I am principled, and I am honest. And it's all about conversations. I've had so many conversations with party leaders during my tenure as Fine Gael leader. And what they're saying to me is that we support your ideas. We just don't like the character of you. We don't like how you're standing up against the liberals or the wokes. But what I would say is I'm not asking for that. I'm pushing that aside. Tonight, we just need to focus on solving Ireland and making Ireland working, to get Ireland working again. And that's what my message is to all these party leaders. If you want to get Ireland working again, back a party that will get Ireland working again. And, you know, what we've seen in this government is that parties that came to me and said, let's form government, they clearly did not understand the tasks ahead of them. And that is something that I'm not willing to take ahead again. And I think that's the difference between me and most leaders. You know, I'm not fighting for government at the moment. I'm fighting for an island that's active, and I will participate where I can. And Fine Gael is all about that. It's not about self-interest, it's about national interest. And I think that's what people need to recognise. And if you want a party that does that, vote Fine Gael. It's the only way.
All right, thank you. That is all we have time to hear from Bo. Thank you for turning out. Thank you for coming
Thank
along. If you
you,
have any clapping
Sarah
tracks in the
Margaret.
background, please let's get them playing. That was Bo, leader of Fine Gael. Now we move over to a not so new face in the scene, but recently elected again. We have Erin McNamara, I forget. I always read the usernames instead of who they actually are. Leader of the Labour Party. No, not Labour. Oh my God. Sorry, leader of Sinn Féin. I don't know why I struggled so much there. That's the party she led before. Hello, leader of Sinn Féin.
Hello, Daniel.
Okay, I mean, might as well get this case right off. Let's go ahead with your Oh, hold on, sorry. Let's go ahead with your introduction.
Díomh Galéir agus gur míle míle maithagah as a bhean seo nocht. Thank you to RT for having me. It is great to be here. My name is Ivan B. Yates, or Erin, and I'm here tonight to represent Sinn Féin. And in Sinn Féin, we believe that politics should look past the next headline and focus on what lasts, which is strong communities, fair systems, and a public life that people can trust. So I'm not going to spoil our campaign tonight because we'll all find out tomorrow at 8 p.m. But over the past while, me and the team in Sinn Féin have been working on something that we are genuinely really proud of. And we want to set a new direction for the long term. And we want to build things properly and make sure that people feel included. Not just now, but also into the future. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with everyone tomorrow.
All right. Okay, let's go right in with the audience questions. I mean, if you have any questions, please raise your hand or DM me them. I did have quite a I had a DM before Erin even came up on stage, so I'm gonna try and read this out. But an anonymous questioner asks, Tadium na thala and gwelga bio
Can we get
amon
Leah?
go
Can we
on
get Leah?
I'll just
Get
send
me
it to you. I'll just send the rest to you. I mean, if you can read this out for the audience. I don't mean to deface the Irish language any more than I just did.
Yeah.
There you are. That was sent from the anonymous viewer.
Okay, so tá díama orm nor Harlan Gaelga beo a bhil bóhórn mar Taoiseach. Colatá earned in Lathianamh Colin Gaelga a Kirkon Keen. So basically, I'm disappointed that Bowhorn's Living Irish never materialized. What would you do to actually promote Irish? So the question was asked in Irish. I feel like I should answer it in Irish. So that's what I will do. Dús spóra tá ein tíam leat go hilas go homnáin. Tá díama nárthla an ghfuil go beo a bhil bóhór agus fós. Tá díama nach bhfuil I ggóhin daoine an seán éireann atá ghfuilga acu agus níl míad an ann oras na ghfuilga a bhfuil stú agus fearna chur le chéile. Mar sin scríb mé lasú donnacht teangacha nóir bhí mé an Tara Pobla Cultúr teanga agus meán faoi an Taoiseach Líomh VNX. A dathraigh an struchtúr banistíocht foras na Gaeilge ón Commissionéir Amháin go dtí board. Agus mar sin sílam go mbeadh sé sin anna tábhachtach don céad term eile. Mar bebíonn in ann foras na Gaeilge a úsáid agus é úsáid chun an teanga chur chun cín gan Commissionéir, mar ar an dracóir níl duine ann chun é a fostú. Agus cumála sin tá billa scríofa agam hena féin. Agus is billa chun comhairthaíocht gá theangach a chur bhaim tríd na cluichí atá gcuin. Agus is dóbhfuil ghfuil sé seo fíortábhachtach chun an Gaeilge a chur ann sna cluichí agus chun an Gaeilge a fheiceáil agus chun é a bheith I láthair I méal na pobl an tamar fad. Agus ceapan ghfuil sé sin an rud is tábhachtach bhfuil sé ann agus bhfuil míad an ann a fheiceáil. So that's basically
I see.
To the two people that understood that, I hope you agree with me.
Well, I couldn't really tell you anything about that answer. I guess it's fine. Mr. Bruce actually has a question, leader of the Labour Party again. So, welcome onto the stage. What is your question to Erin, leader of Sinn Féin?
Gurma agus Dan. Miss Evan, last time you were Taoiseach, you lasted 14 days and then disappeared from the server, leaving the government to collapse. How can you reassure voters that you will stay Taoiseach more than the 2-week period and serve the full term?
Well, all I can give you is my word. Isn't that it really? All I can give is a promise. I can't predict the future. I can't go into the future and see that I've served the full term and bring back evidence. So like I said, it's up to the people to decide whether they want to trust me again, whether they want to we can't predict another Charlie Kirk, exactly as Leah said. It's up to the people. The policy that I put forward, the team that I put forward, that's what people should judge me off of. But like I said, I'm not about to dispute if people decide to judge me off my past actions, because that is completely fair. But again, it's up to the people to decide whether they will trust me again, and all I can give is my word.
All right, thank you. It appears we also have a question from Bo here, leader of Fine Gael. We've got all the leaders up here today, gonna form a whole rainbow. So, Bo, welcome to the stage again. What's your question to leader of Sinn Féin?
Hello.
Hi. So my question to you, Erin, is you previously served as a Labour Taoiseach and Labour leader. What are your current opinions on Labour as a party, and do you believe it should be deregistered due to the lack of sufficient polling?
Obviously, Labour is really historically a really successful party. I myself was a Labour Taoiseach. There've been so many Labour Taoiseachs. Labour's electorally the most successful party ever. But honestly, not even hitting double digits in a vote count is really not sufficient enough voting wise. I mean, if they fail to even gain Dáil representation, I don't I don't see why the party should stick around for any longer. Maybe they've outlived their glory days. Maybe it's time to lay to rest. It's quite sad, really.
All right. Because seeing we don't have any other questions from the audience at this point in time, we'll move back to questions from RTE. Remember, in the audience, if you have any questions, please either DM them by dialing some random Irish phone number, or by asking to come up on stage. Until then, I will ask this next question I have prepared right here, coming up right now as I find it again. Okay. What makes you an alternative from the Social Democrats? What sets you out as a different party? Obviously, you're both on the left wing, and you've both aligned very similarly on many different things. So, why should people dedicate their vote to you instead of the Social Democrats, and the same vice versa?
Definitely. Yeah, I see that completely. We are very, very politically aligned. We are both left-wing parties, and we do agree on a lot of our policy points. But I think what sets Sinn Féin apart from the Social Democrats is the team of legislators and the team of minds that we have in Sinn Féin. We have the undisputed queen of the statute book, one of the best brains in Ireland currently in Sinn Féin, and that is Kamala P. by Cesar. I think that in itself is a testament to the legislative output that Sinn Féin can bring to a Dáil and could bring to a government. I mean, not to gas myself up. I do myself also have a few bills in the statute book. So yeah, that is truly what I believe sets Sinn Féin apart, is the team of great people we have. We have Isabel, she's just an unbelievable Minister for Foreign Affairs. Like I said, Kamala. I have Victoria. She's the most experienced in politics and defence, and she brings such a unique perspective on defence policies to Sinn Féin, which I hope everyone will be able to see tomorrow at 8 p.m. when our campaign officially launches.
Okay, I have a question from a caller here. I'm going to read out the number, but I suggest you don't dial it. 0800 555 1916. I don't know what that means. What are your plans?
Report Athenian.
What are your plans for the future of the Defence Forces, and how will you respond to threats such as British invasions?
Well, first and foremost, British threats are not sorry. British invasions are not a threat, okay? They're not a threat, and they never will be a threat. We've done it. We've dealt with it before. We'll deal with it again. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. They're petty. They're annoying. Okay? And now the Defence Forces. Obviously, I spoke about it before on RT. I do want to abolish the Department of Defence. I don't see the need for it going forward. Ideally, I would transfer the powers of the Department of Defence underneath the Department of the Taoiseach, basically just giving all the tasks that a general defence minister would do to the Taoiseach. I don't see the need for an extra department for that. And then secondly, I would like to create the position of a permanent government liaison with the Department of Defence. Not like a 2-month in and out job like a defence minister would be, a permanent position, a go-between between the government and the defence forces, someone that can actually build a rapport with the defence forces and the chief of staff, and then they can positively advise the government on the best way forward. Someone that has both legislative and parliamentary experience as well as defence experience. They know both sides They know the talk of the politicians and they know the talk of the defense forces. Basically, a lot of defense ministers are politicians at their core. They've maybe not even served in the defense forces. I think it's better we have someone that's actually qualified in both areas to help the government help the IDF.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I imagine this will be one of the last questions, if not the last question. We have here, with recent talks about another round of Shanad reform, if you become Taoiseach, what would you do to try and reform the Shanad?
Well, the Shanad Reform Working Group is still in very, very early conversation. And I am a member of that, obviously, and we're still getting lots of very different proposals. Yeah, we're still getting lots of very different proposals and different perspectives from a lot of people. I feel like there's not one unified, easy answer to Shanad reform. There isn't one size fits all solution that everyone is going to agree with and that everyone is going to think is the best thing. Even within Sinn Féin, we have probable disagreements over how the Shanad should go forward. So me personally, I think the thing I am most open to at this point is to continue to allow the debate to happen, because I feel like compromise is going to be the best solution in this specific area, especially if it goes to referendum. Referendums a lot of the time are not party political. Referendums is going to be really a question put to the people. So if we want a Shanad reform referendum to pass, it really needs to be something that people actually want.
Okay, I think I can ask this one final question to you, and then it will be your time up. Another question asked from the same person. The Legal System Act is almost 3 years old, and there's been no major update to the system since then. The system has stagnated with fewer judges and fewer people interested in joining the legal profession because it's perceived as boring or unimportant. What are your plans for the justice system?
I 100% agree with this. Definitely. If you look at the role of barristers, it's the same old people that it always has been that are barristers in Ireland. And on it, yeah, I think definitely a Sinn Féin government would strive, and we would run a barrister recruitment scheme. But like I said, a lot of people see the legal system as really boring. I think our court games could be a really, really good point of interest to look into. Our court games are so underused. We barely ever see them in use. They're never used for active cases. The very few active cases that there are, the court games are never used. But even if the court games aren't brought back into commission for actual real court cases, I feel like they could be such a fun way to you to what's the word? To incorporate the court games into stuff like moot courts for barrister training, moot courts just for fun, to get people talking about the laws, get people practicing what it's like to be a barrister, get people into the court, seeing what it's like to be a barrister, seeing if they're interested in the legal career, and seeing if it's a feasible thing for themselves to pursue. I definitely think even competitions, moot court competitions, I think that would be really fun, a fun community activity to get people interested into the legal career.
So, thank you for all of your answers. It was a pleasure to have you up here. Now, we will now move on to the next leader. Thank you, Erin. Leader of Sinn Féin, just there. Now we have someone who's been a controversial figure, let's say, and there have been many talks about their party being dissolved. Obviously, I'm talking about the Mr. Booth is May, leader of the Labour Party. So let's welcome him to the stage. Oh, and for a minute, former Minister of Foreign Affairs. Hello, Mr. Booth.
Good evening, Dan.
Good evening to you too. So let's get straight into it. Please give us your introduction.
Akarja. My friends, the previous government has failed. Other parties are claiming to be the solution. However, they really have no plan. I've defended Ireland on the foreign stage for over 3 weeks, until my party decided enough was enough with this inactive government, and we had no choice but to withdraw. What? You're probably wondering what Labour is offering to the table. Well, I'll tell you this. We're offering to show up. We're offering to be the real voice of opposition in the next term. We're offering real questions. We're offering real solutions. Now, of course, not our manifesto isn't completely finished, and some policies still need to be discussed and voted on. But we do have some good policies on defense and foreign affairs, and we are ready to be the opposition in the next term. I also would like to announce that we will be completely ruling ourselves out of government. We will not confidence in supply. We will not be a part of the next government. If party leaders want to come to me, they will have to adjourn. They will have to agree to Labour compromises. Dan, I don't want to be Taoiseach. I don't think I'll probably get
Sorry, that is
more.
your 1 minute.
Ah.
Sorry.
Apologies.
Okay, well, I hope you'll be able to say what you wanted to say in the questions we have coming up from the people in the audience. So I don't know whose hand went up first, but I did bring up Seth first, so I'm going to bring up Bo just to keep things fair. So
Oh, dear.
Bo, leading Fine Gael, up here yet again. Hello, Bo.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and
Thank you.
clear. I believe you have a question for our Labour leader.
I've got quite a large one, so prepare,
Oh,
Mr.
dear.
Well,
Bruce.
I'll give you 30 seconds to ask it. Go ahead.
So the Labour Party blamed Fine Gael for the lack of legislation, whilst their party leader used AI to propose a bill, which was never successful in being tabled. And also, the Labour leader was also seen by his other ministerial colleagues as a nutter, as he's all talk and no delivery. Does the party leader accept what his ministerial colleagues said about him?
Okay. That is a big question. So let me be clear that yes, I did do that. However, and again, I do apologize. I do have difficulty making bills, and people make mistakes, Dan. And look, I don't think I'm any that look, what I did was wrong. I'm going to admit that, but I think that she has to look in the mirror, to be honest, because legislation under Fine Gael was non-existent. Dan, there was nothing. And let's be honestly clear that any attempt at passing legislation they couldn't even pass their own legislation. And Labour, and I have been working with my Shanador, Eamon McNamara, to make some more legislation allowing for press freedoms and other stuff we were planning. However, we did not get the opportunity as we had to withdraw.
Okay, moving now over to Seth is here back on the stage for a second time. Hello, welcome to the studio, Seth. Let's jump right in. What's your
Hello.
question for our
Hello.
Labour leader?
Right. So one of Labour's main talk points in the last election was achieving peace with the United Kingdom. Now, 8 days into the term, we saw the United Kingdom withdraw from peace talks.
Yeah.
Now, Bruce, this happened under your watch as Minister for Foreign Affairs, and judging from the insight that Jimmy, who was your former Minister of State, he gave an interview on the Weekly What's It, as you're aware, and he said that he basically implied that you showed no leadership while you held your ministerial role. So why should people trust Labour on foreign affairs? And I know you're not going for election, as you've just said, but how can people trust Labour on foreign affairs when its leader was quote unquote kept grounded by civil servants within the Foreign Department?
Well, first off, thanks for your question. And secondly, I completely denounce that statement. I have been working in the foreign affairs and have been a completely active minister. I've been going to countries such as Ukraine, Brazil, and the United States, and I made a monumental agreement which helped the IDF with boosting activity and with joint training with Ukraine, which is one of my biggest achievements in the foreign affairs at the moment. Look, I have to say that and to his question about the United Kingdom, we did try to work with the UK. We did try to make, we did try to negotiate, Seth, but The UK was very demanding. They had some sticking points that we couldn't agree to, such as apologizing for defending Ireland, which we all know I would never agree to, and of course Ireland would never agree to. And they were making outrageous demands. We tried to negotiate, we tried to work out compromises, but unfortunately, we couldn't achieve that. Look, obviously, Sovs at the moment, we are seeing the Cavalier Party, aka Michael Rothschild, making a somewhat big comeback. And the next government needs to prepare for, Michael to go on his shenanigans in the next, election. Sorry, after the Sovs election, he will probably come after Ireland once again. So you can trust us on the foreign affairs because we have been able to work with other countries to bring activity not only to our armed services, but we have stood up for what Ireland believes in. And as foreign minister, I have defended Ireland's interests. I've ensured that we have supported candidates for the UN, and I've ensured that I was one of the most active ministers.
Okay, before we do continue, I just have to quickly say, there is a fact check here. Mr. Booth said that Fine Gael presented no legislation when this is in fact false. They presented the Football Association of Ireland's Bill 2026.
Yeah, so that was one. But
would you like
in all fairness, Stan, what is that? Football, of course, that is one piece of legislation, but the question still remains: what actual meaningful legislation did they pass other than that? Other than a repeal bill for the Kingston Treaty.
Okay. This is something that again being DM'd to me. You quickly touched upon this beforehand, but you claim credit for a lot of diplomatic relations, treaties, and exercises conducted under your tenure as Minister of Foreign Affairs. These seem to have been accomplishments of the civil service, not you. Why did you exactly take credit for this, and what did you actually do as Minister of Foreign Affairs?
Well, I worked with, of course, the Ukrainians to form a new deal that would increase IDF activity and joint training. That was a big part. And look, I did have help from Thomas, who I have to give credit to. He was an excellent guy in the civil service with the foreign affairs. But yeah, I worked with Jimmy on the South Africa Treaty too. I discussed with them and what they had high hopes for the United Nations. So yeah, I did have a lot of insight into the treaties. I will take credit for the Ukrainian one. Jimmy did, in all fairnessness, do a lot for the South African one, but I did give a lot of insight on that, and I gave him my full support on it. But look, I mean, you can't deny that I have done stuff, Dan.
Okay. You're actually very popular tonight. You have many people coming up. So I'll immediately bring on Jackie R. Westbrook. I know there's someone else typing my DMs, maybe to ask you a question. But Jackie, please go ahead.
Hi, Dan. It's lovely to be up again. Thank you. So I have a question for you, Bruce.
Yep.
You have, without a doubt, destabilized Ireland. You withdrew from a very stable coalition, which was governing Ireland.
That's true.
The Fine Gael, the Fianna Fáil, and the Labour coalition. You withdrew from it. You withdrew from it as you said that there was a vote in your party. Well, as far as I'm concerned, your party has 1 seat in the Dáil and 0 seats in the Seanad. So I'm not exactly sure what the turnout was on that alleged vote, but I can't imagine it was very high. You've been exposed tonight for lying to the public about the Fine Gael government presenting any legislation. That is false. They did present the Football Association of Ireland bills. That was a lie. You need to apologise. And alongside that, you have taken credit for the work of the civil service and for the Fine Gael Foreign Affairs Minister, Jimmy Jimmies. I don't understand how you possibly have the brass neck to run again in Ireland as the Labour leader. I think it's shocking. I think it's genuinely
Do you have a question,
shocking
or are you just going to
that you have the nerve to run again.
You didn't really ask a question. You just insulted me there. So could you ask the question?
The question is, why do you believe that you're still a credible option, that you're a good alternative for the people of Ireland? You said earlier that you don't want to be the Taoiseach while you are literally running for Taoiseach. How does this make any sense?
Okay, so first off, Bo herself did claim that her government was unstable. Wanted to get that out. Secondly, I would like to make it clear that if you're Jackie, you're telling me that I collapsed a stable government. A stable government would show up to leaders' questions, even though they didn't. A stable government would be able to pass its own legislation, which it didn't, and a stable government would actually have communication, which the last government didn't. Look, I regret that the coalition fell apart. I had high hopes for it. And Bo, in all fairnessness, did have some good qualities, which I did. I mean, look, Jackie and Bo can continue to attack me. They can continue to basically try and wear me down. But Labour is a credible option because we did the right thing and the right thing. And Irish people agree with it, Dan. A poll said like 2/3 of the people who voted in that poll said I made the right decision. And why should I stay in a coalition that A, doesn't communicate, B, can't even pass its own legislation, and C, cannot even bother to show up for leaders' questions? I mean, the session after I left the coalition, only 2 government TDs showed up. 2. The rest of them didn't put any absences. None of them showed up. So look, to answer his question, Labour is a credible option because I've shown up. I have 100% attendance over the previous term. I've made sure that as foreign minister, I answer the questions of the opposition, and if elected, I'm going to make sure the government is held to account and ensuring that people in Ireland have their say and can question and be a part of the opposition that can deliver and make sure that the next government is held to account.
Okay, I do have a question sent in my DMs now. I'm gonna tie these 2 questions that I was asked into one. So one individual asked me, are you going to resign as leader? And this individual has asked, why should Labour continue to exist? This party is a shell of its former self. Your policies aren't appealing. Your leadership is highly suspect. You've caused this election. You have 1 seat, no elected seats in the Shannon without the Taoiseach's appointment. Labour would have no representation in the Shannon. So just to repeat those 2, why should Labour continue to exist? And are you going to resign?
On the resignation question, no, I'm not going to resign. I still think I have a lot to achieve in the next term. And secondly, Labour does have representation in the Dáil. Look, it is 1 seat, yes, it is a major disappointment. But look, Dan, as long as Labour has representation in the Dáil, I will not consider dissolving the party. And I will not resign because I still believe I can give a lot more to Ireland and be a voice for reason in the next parliament. But look, I'm not going to resign, and the Labour Party is not going anywhere, Dan. It's not going anywhere.
Okay. I do have 2 people who want to come up, but they have already been up already. Jackie and
Do you have
Bo.
any RTE questions?
That's why I'm not bringing you up just for now. I do have an anonymous question here.
Mhm.
So if there is extra time at the end, I will bring up Bo and Jackie again.
Okay.
But the anonymous question said, why are you ruling yourself out of any coalition before the election? And why did you state that you do not even want to be Taoiseach? If you're running as party leader, shouldn't you resign in that case?
Well, look, let's be clear. That I'm ruling myself out of coalition because, I think I could do a lot more in opposition and holding the government to account. And when I said I didn't want to be Taoiseach, all I meant was that I don't see myself as winning this election, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to win a majority. I'm not going to win many seats in my view. I think that I need to be realistic here. And I'm going to say if Labour gets 2 or 3 seats, we're on the right track. But look, Dan, I would like to be Taoiseach, of course. I would like to win this election, but I'm just being realistic. I'm not going to go into this election saying, oh, we're going to get a landslide win. No, I'm going to be realistic. And, I think after being in the awful, awful government that can't even, and like their own TDs and all their own party officials act like childs and try to attack a party because they made a decision, because a party made a collective decision, then no, I don't wish to be in the next government. No.
I have a very you know what, I'm not gonna. Okay, I have a very interesting question here. Um, I'm just going to ask you to answer it quickly because I think it's very relevant. But Archery has asked me, are you going to run for president? And what are your thoughts on Connolly? Oh, John Don.
For I guess I mean what do you mean IRL or I probably think in Roblox. But I mean I guess I would consider it. I guess I would. And you did say stuff at the the back. So could you just repeat that?
Sorry, he asked what your thoughts were on Connolly, so I assume the current
Okay.
president.
I personally like her. I think she's doing a good job.
Okay. I don't think there'll be enough time to ask Jackie or Bo's question for now. Like I said, they have been up 2 times. So one final question here. The Labour Party has only received 7 votes in the last election and have maintained low polling throughout the term and beginning for this election. Why
Yeah.
should your party not be disbanded? Slightly different from the other questions, as in you only got 7 votes. Why should you not be disbanded for this?
Well, look, Dan, we shouldn't be disbanded because people are still going out and voting for Labour and are giving us the mandate to be in Dáil Éireann. Now, I would consider disbanding the party if we didn't get any representation, but people are still going out. They're still going to vote for Labour, and if we get another seat, then we're going to prove all of you wrong. If we don't, then we're going to continue to rebuild. We're going to continue to grow stronger every single day. And I'm going to lead this party for as long as possible. And I will resign only if I believe that there is nothing else I can do to, be, to show the people that, I can lead this country. And honestly, Dan,
Okay,
Mm.
because it's very
Yeah.
close to the end of your time, I'd just like to ask one more question, just a simple yes or no. If Labour loses all representation in the Oireachtas, will you resign as leader?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time, Mr. Booz. It was a pleasure having you up here. That was the
Thank you.
Labour leader. Another
Very
round
much.
of applause, if RTE can afford those kind of soundboards. So, let's move to our final, final party leader for tonight. We would have had, what's his name, Jack Cosgrave here, but unfortunately they were unable to attend. So we now move to the final candidate of today. Let me just refresh myself of who this is because I have no clue. Oh yes, of course, it's Ognian Zero, leader of the Social Democrats. This is his 3rd time running in these elections. Don't quote me on that. Maybe 3rd, 4th. I don't know. And I mean, there's not much else to say about him. Leader of the Social Democrats. Please welcome to the stage.
Hello there, Dan. How have you been?
Hello, I've been great, but tonight is all about the party leaders, aka you. So please go ahead, give your introduction.
Correct. So, first of all,
Hold on, I'm gonna have to pause you there, Ognian. We can't hear you very well. So you're very stuttery.
Hold up.
Okay, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. Well, whilst we wait, I hope the audience is doing well. I hope we've enjoyed the broadcast so far. Obviously, organised by Leah Vunks. How have you said that? Thank you very much. I think Ognian's back. Hello.
Testing.
Okay, it's working. Okay, we'll restart
Okay,
your
great.
timer. Please go ahead and
All
give.
right. Thank you, Dan. I would like to thank you, RT and Leah, for organizing this lovely election coverage as well as throughout the campaign period. We as party leaders would like to thank you for being able to present our case and reach out to the Irish electorate regarding our vision. I am obviously truly honored to be the most approved leader of the most active party within the Dáil. These elections, we're going to present our core ideas, our vision. Obviously, not very much changed since the last elections, but new additions because the term ended only 1/3 of it. I'm ready to take any questions. So, I am ready to move on to our 15 minutes.
Okay, the timer will start now. I'll begin with Jackie R. Westbrook. Jackie, hello, welcome to the stage. What is your question to the leader of the Social Democrats?
I'm going to be honest, this is quite embarrassing. I had my hand up from Bruce. I have no question for Ognian.
Well, it's my time. Move on to the question.
Well, Bo, I assume you have your hand up to actually ask a question to Ognian. Hello, Bo.
Hello? Hello?
Right,
Sorry.
do you have your question for Ognian?
Let me turn my speaker on, hold on. Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Loud and clear.
Thank you. Ognian, you've served under many governments and many different coalitions. Under these governments, we've seen the establishment of different agencies and legislation, such as the Irish Motorsports Association, Jobs Ireland, Monaghan County Council, the Arts Council of Ireland, and the Workplace Relations Commission. Can you please rate out of 10 how successful these agencies were, and how many of these agencies are still on the statute book that are in government, and how many of these agencies have you utilized within your manifesto?
I thank Safarin for her question. Obviously, I find it ironic for her speaking about Jobs Island when she excluded in her own program for government her main campaign selling point got scrapped into her program for government. But yes, that's true. I served under many governments under Aaron and Francis. I was tarnished, and both of the governments had large struggles. Obviously, we're not going to cover Kirkgate and the many vacancy calls into these governments, but I believe during these 2 terms I was very successful as tarnished and maintaining government stability in these crucial times as following the resignation of Aaron, I keep the government productive and it continue its executive functions, and under Francis we pass crucial legislations and most importantly fill the many created vacant positions. About the agencies pointed out by the Taoiseach, yes, it is unfortunate some of them didn't work out. Me and Francis, I remember talking about the work relations councils and sustainability. We took some measures such as replacements and unfortunately didn't work out, so we might consider repealing them or merging them or reforming them in any way. But for the Social Democrats, our vision is to practically, for the Irish Motorsport Associations, to make it its main concern is the absence of development assets. So you cannot do much without it without proper development. And for the rest, you just need people, which sadly in Ireland there is a not a large talent pool. Sadly, that's it.
Okay, thank you. I do have a question from. Let me just find it again. Sorry, I shouldn't have closed that DM. Okay, another question from 0800 555 1916. He asks, well, they ask, does the Social Democrats have any plans to restructure the leadership of Oglak Aaron? Go ahead.
About the Irish Defence Force. Well, obviously, as it said, the experts know best and they know their best. We're not going to interfere into their operation work as they know best. We're obviously going to assist them with joint trainings and other foreign affairs and other legislative work they would need to require. About the Department of Defense, which I believe is the spirit of the question, we are going to merge it with the Department of Foreign Affairs and still keep the ministerial position within the Minister's Acts to allow to be split at any time by the future government pleasure, because if somebody holds the title of Minister of Defense, it is really practically useful and pragmatically useful for coalition building, because without the Minister of Defense, ministers might get a little bit too little and coalition talks, especially in two ways, can get really tight. Under Social Democrats, we're going to integrate the defense minister under the foreign affairs minister or directly under the Taoiseach, depending on the pragmatic and the coalition circumstances.
Okay, hold on, just need to confirm there's no questions from the audience quickly. I see Bo has her hand up. I'll bring you up again if there are no questions after this. I suppose I'll pack two questions in one here again. Your policy has come under criticism for being vague, basic, or reused. What are some of the policies you're presenting this election that are specific to the Social Democrats? I'd also like to say, as an RT article that was released, it was said that a lot of your promises were quite unrealistic or needed heavy group staff involvement, which they might not get, and seemed very ambitious. How are you going to make these how are you going to make these policies more suitable for Ireland? So just to repeat those questions, what policies are specific to the Social Democrats, and how are you going to tackle the issue of your policies being difficult to implement?
I thank you for this question. I would disagree on the part that our ideas are vague or overused. Yeah, there are some ideas which have been mentioned within our manifestos multiple times, such as reforms within CPOC, but quite frankly, this hasn't been implemented, and we still are keen on these ideas. A direct policy which stands out from any other party I would give you is the idea for a national calendar, which would be a system where the government and private entities can reserve days for events and to allow for the coordination of scheduling. Also, we want to move the petition system from the Recta server to the main server to allow a larger use of it, and you can directly debate on it rather than needing to join the server. We are going to introduce freedom of information laws, which is not something which requires any sort of divine intervention. Our views are also, there are some of our visions which would need to be coordinated with group administrations, which I believe it's alright because any government needs to work with these godly figures, such as a creation of a survey for expanding the in-game businesses. Obviously, that is something which other parties are unable to present or are unable to make their case more special. If I may take some time to also announce something large. Dan, are you listening?
Go ahead.
I would like to announce a new member of the Social Democrats, a minister. I would like to welcome Jimmy's to the Social Democrats and formally welcome him to the Social Democrats. From Fianna Gael to Social Democrats.
Okay, well, it's 15 minutes. It's all up to the leaders how they choose to spend it, whether they answer questions or announce things. I will quickly. I'll bring up Bo. Oh, hold on. I've had two DMs. Let's see what they entail. Okay. I'm sure you could never guess who asked this question. But would you support small businesses like Omara Oil, Natural Gas, and Holding Group? And do you support that? Do you support the funding of their funding of Ogleg and Aaron? Go ahead.
Yes, God bless Jeremy, my warrant officer. Uh, I remember once I was one of his cruise ships. God bless. What was the other part of the question?
Hold on, let me just quickly see. Do you support Omara Oil, Natural Gas, and Holding Group's funding of Ogleg and Aaron?
Yes, I do. Next question.
Sorry, I just need to quickly say, I hate to take away from your time, but Mr. Booth has resigned as leader of the Labour Party, and has endorsed Eamon McManara for the position of Labour leader and Taoiseach na Éireann. I mean, before we
Well,
get to the
well, well.
question, do you have any thoughts or feelings you'd like to share with us on that?
Well, am I surprised? No. Was I expected? No, no. But anyways, everybody who makes it to a party leader knows what huge burden it is, whatever big or small party. So I cannot do anything but thank him for his service because he was obviously under large pressure as every party leader. It is kind of unfortunate that he has goals before meeting the polls and now his party is in very difficult positions. But it is what it is. It is his personal decisions. Can we move on to the question?
Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna spread that rumor until I've had proper confirmation. Let me go. Okay, Bo, you're back. I don't think anyone else has a question. Bo, please go away.
I mean,
not go away.
this
Go
is
on, ask your question.
this is like the door, you know. This is like the door. I ask the most questions. But you know, congratulations to Jimmy's. You know, I'm leading a party that's working in the national interest. Clearly, self-interest is there. But what I would say to Ognian is that you served under a government that presided over months of failure when it comes to communities. I mean, in your last manifesto, you failed to include a plan for local government, and the Social Democrats have become too obsessed with a Discord server for communities rather than delivering a credible plan. Is this what you're prioritizing? Is this what you want the people to understand? Do you believe that this government can only deliver minor Discord fixes rather than real solutions?
Well, I thank Madam Tishak for her questions, and I would strongly disagree on quote unquote to be obsessed with the communication server. It's a good idea to centralize something, and I hope you haven't offended the moderator, but I believe it is still a good addition that every public information is one place, and this is just one part of our vision. And for local communities, we have met with unions, we have brought the idea for a national calendar. If she opens our manifesto, taking out where I'll send her a personal copy, she can see it is 2 pages of it, and the joint server is just only one. We have plans for the National Archives. Local communities obviously cannot be done properly without proper consultation with group staff, and I believe we are the party which is most committed with working with group management regarding assistance to communities. Thank you.
Okay. I will get one more question out of you if it's the last thing I do. I don't know why I phrased it in such a way. Um, I'm going to ask you a question that was also asked to the Labour Party. Not, oh my God, Sinn Féin. Sorry. I forget Erin is the leader of Sinn Féin now. So Sinn Féin was asked the question, what's their differences from the Social Democrats? And I will ask you the same question. What differs you from Sinn Féin? They're a party on the left wing. When you just some people may argue this is just dividing the left wing rather than uniting it. And I mean, do you have any deals behind closed doors? So I'm asking you a few questions in this one. But also,
No worry.
is there with Sinn Féin saying they're better than you because they have a minister? What makes you better than them?
Well, obviously, I believe I was tarnished on the rare, and I tend to really respect my superior, and obviously she did her best as Taoiseach. I cannot doubt that because I was her tarnished. About what separates us from Sinn Féin policy-wise, we are more tending on the legislative wise of things because since Leia founded the party, they have been owing into activity and implement and events through in-game. We have also more elements into legislation wise. Policy difference, I would say, their outright idea to abolish the Department of Defense. Our idea is to give the government more flexibility into wishing to keep it or not, or just merging it with another department as per the Ministers Act. What else separates us, I believe, is our style of leadership with Aaron because uh, my graphics within Social Democrats are more frequent, more presentable, more straight to the point, while Aaron's are, I don't want to say Aaron Sinn Féin's graphics are still intended to the point and very different from ours. So there are very clear distinctions in leadership styles and even in policies. About coalitions deals, no, I haven't been in reach with any party about formation of government in these elections, not till after the general elections results, because that's the best way to do it without getting party leaders argue over previous results, over prearranged agreements before the electorate gives their verdict.
Okay, thank you. That is all we have time for tonight. Thank you, Ogden, leader of the Social Democrats, wrapping things up there. So it was a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. We went through thick and thin together. I mean, from the start of the night where we had Bo up answering a few questions, either Fine Gael, but more recently the announcement of Mr. Booth resigning as the Labour Party, and now the question is in the air: what next for the Labour Party, and how will this affect the results of the election? Well, stick around actually, because I believe there will be a special edition of Late Night News, something like that. So, I mean, I guess I'll hand you over to that program now. Thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful rest of your nights.